Hi everyone, my name is Ms. Sarah, and I want to tell you guys about one of my recommendations for 5th and 6th grade readers, and that is the graphic novel Another Kind by Kate May and Trevor Bream. So this is a really awesome graphic novel. So in this story, our main characters are tucked away in a government facility nicknamed the Playroom, where 6 not quite human kids, a Yeti, a Will-o'-the-Wisp, a Selkie, a Reptilian, a Werebear, and an Eldritch offspring learn how to control their strange and unpredictable abilities. Life is good, or safe at least, hidden from the prying eyes of a judgmental world. But as mysterious security breaches become more and more frequent, our main characters are forced out of their home and right into the path of the Collector, a mysterious being with leech-like powers and an insatiable hunger. Can the group band together to thwart the Collector's devious plan, or will they wind up the newest addition to his collection? This is a fantastic graphic novel with a diverse cast of characters and a really sweet found family theme running throughout the book. And with gorgeous illustrations and a fantastic story, this is a great graphic novel for anyone who enjoys a good fantasy or a monster story. The next book I want to tell you guys about is called Baraka Beats by Maleeha Siddiqui. In this story, Nimra Sharif is so excited, but a little bit nervous about starting public school. You see, previously her parents had her enrolled in Guided Light Academy, a private Islamic school where she worked on the Hifz program. But now that she's memorized the Quran and completed Hifz, her parents believe it's time for her to start public school. But Nimra's nervous. But as long as she has her best friend Jenna by her side, she figures she can take on just about anything. But middle school is hard, and Jenna starts to give Nimra this cold shoulder when she's with her other friends. And desperate to fit in and save her friendship with Jenna, Nimra accepts an unlikely invitation to join Baraka Beats, a band made up of popular 8th grade boys. The problem is that Nimra's parents think that Muslims shouldn't sing or dance in public as part of their beliefs. So she comes up with a plan. Join the band just long enough to win Jenna back, then quit before her parents find out. But as Nimra's lies start to unravel and she grows closer to her bandmates, Nimra has to decide whether to betray her new friends or herself. Baraka Beats is an amazing story about friendship, faith, and being true to yourself, and finding the courage to pursue things that truly make your heart sing.
Daughter of the Deep by Riordan. Get ready to take the plunge in this fast-paced science fiction, not mythology, middle grade novel from Riordan. What if Jules Verne's books weren't science fiction, but science fact? That is the premise of this standalone, or maybe not, story. Anna Dakar is descended from Captain Nemo of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea and Mysterious Island. She and her older brother Dev attend the Harding Pencroft Academy, named for Nemo's companions in Mysterious Island. Their parents were killed in an accident some years earlier. The Land Institute, named for Ned Land in 20,000 Leagues, is their rival school and has taken their rivalry to a new, unconscionable level. Now, Anna and her fellow freshmen, who were supposed to be taking their trial at sea, are now in the fight of their lives. While this was written as a standalone book, the door is open for more adventure.
The Double Life of Danny Day by Mike Thayer. I want to read the very first paragraph of this book to you. Introduction. My name is Danny Day. I've ditched school 346 times, and I still have perfect attendance. I broke my leg last week, but I don't have a cast. I never study for a test or quiz until I've seen what's on it. I've played more than 4,000 hours of video games in the past 3 years, and yet my parents have hardly seen me play. How is all this possible, you ask? Well, the answer is pretty simple. I live every day, twice. So Danny, since birth, as he said, lives every day twice. The first day he refers to as his discard day, his practice run. Danny tends to go wild, doing all sorts of things without any lasting consequences. The second day is when everything resets, and this is what Danny calls his sticky day. It is when everything is normal, just like it is for everyone else. His actions and his consequences stick. Because of this, the world kind of sees Danny as maybe more put together and rule-following than he might really be. But then Danny and his family move. Now Danny has a whole new set of problems, including navigating the social scene at school. So the questions that I thought about while reading this book are, if you could live every day twice, what would you do? How would you spend your time? And just think about it. You could redo a test, relive a great experience. The possibilities are endless. And not always positive, too, when you think about it. Danny kind of goofs off with his chances that he has. He does pranks, he slacks off, he plays video games for hours, but when he makes some new friends, Danny realizes he might be able to use his gift for good. He plans to take down the school's biggest bully, Noah, and Noah runs a lunchtime paid video game tournament competition, which he somehow always seems to win. Danny is going to find out what's going on and take this bully down for good. This book has it all: adventure, gaming, humor, and so much more.
Before I read Down to Earth by Betty Culley, I had never even heard of a dowser, or how dowsing is used to find water. In my experience, you just turn on the faucet, and the water is there. But in northern Maine, where this book takes place, a good water source for your well is extremely important. And I learned that a dowser is a person with a special ability to find water sources, even those deep inside the earth, by using a forked stick that will guide the dowser to the water. And the main character, Henry Bower, comes from a family of dowsers, and Henry's worried that he will disappoint his father if he does not have the dowsing gift. The excitement begins when a boulder-sized meteorite crashes in Henry's field and brings with it even bigger changes and challenges for Henry and his family. As Henry uses his M encyclopedia to research meteorites, he learns that historically they end up getting broken apart, moved, and or sold to the highest bidder. Henry wants to keep this from happening to his meteorite, but that seems like it's going to be hard to do since this mammoth space rock seems to be melting the snow like spring has come 2 months early. If this book seems a little old-fashioned, that is because it takes place 20 years ago, in 2002. That's why Henry is researching using encyclopedias instead of the internet. If you enjoy science fiction or realistic fiction with a dash of magical realism, then this book is for you. Much like the small town of Lowington, Maine, where the book takes place, or any small town, Down to Earth is not a flashy story. It's a quiet but compelling story of a rock-loving, homeschooled, curious, kind-hearted boy and his experience when a piece of space comes down to Earth in his field.
Foreverland by Nicole, Kear. How cool would it be to live in an amusement park? You'll sleep in the haunted house, eat junk food from the concession stands, and be free of all grown-ups. That's exactly what Margaret is doing. She even made a friend, Jamie, who lives there too. But things are not as great as it seems. Margaret and Jamie always have to be one step ahead of the security guard, and they're not living at the amusement park just for fun. They're actually runaways. Why is life so bad for Margaret that she felt she had to leave home? Margaret is not the type of person who wants to live and be alone. She misses her best friends, but life has just become too much for her. Too much is out of her control. Will Margaret and Jamie figure out how to deal with the life they left behind? Will the security guard ever catch them? Will Margaret and Jamie face their true reality and ever go back home? You'll have to read to find out.
The Magical Reality of Nadia by Bassem, Youssef, and Katherine, Daly. What if you went on vacation to Egypt and bought a necklace with a hippopotamus charm, and you were told it was an amulet? No big deal. You wear it all the time, It's a souvenir and you love it. That's exactly what Nadia bought, although she doesn't realize there's an ancient Egyptian teacher locked in the amulet by a curse. Then, one day, the hippo starts to tingle and glow, and Nadia doesn't know why. Soon, this little man appears, and Nadia thinks she's seeing things. It happens 2 more times when Nadia finally realizes it's not in her imagination. He's really there. His name is Titi. There's a magic word being said, but Nadia can't figure out what that word is. Can you? Titi tells Nadia that he will grant her 7 wishes, because 7 is an important number in Egypt. Now, while all this is happening to Nadia, which she keeps secret from her friends, Nadia has things going on at school, too. Jason, the new kid and bully, is unkind to Nadia for her Egyptian heritage. Nadia's best friend is Adam, but something isn't right between she and Adam. There's a group project, and Nadia is working on it with her friends. They call themselves the Nerd Patrol. The Nerd Patrol soon gets annoyed with Nadia. Will Nadia figure out how to deal with Jason, fix what's wrong between her and Adam, and set things right with the Nerd Patrol? And what will Titi do to help Nadia, or will Titi just be a burden? Read The Magical Reality of Nadia and get magically swept away with a great story.
Do you enjoy realistic fiction? Do you enjoy graphic novels? If you enjoy either or both of these, you might like The Secret Garden on 81st Street by Ivy Noel Weir and illustrated by Amber Padilla. The book starts in California, where Mary Lennox lives with her very busy parents. Mary is completely involved in her computer gaming and doesn't have any real friends. When her parents die unexpectedly in an accident, Mary is sent to live with her Uncle Archie in New York City. To Mary's dismay, Uncle Archie does not allow any TVs or video games in his home. He travels a lot for his job, and Mary is looked after by a babysitter named Martha, who encourages self-reliance and exploration of New York City. While Uncle Archie is away, his no-nonsense assistant, Mrs. Medlock, takes care of his affairs, including the household. Mary learns that her uncle has also experienced a recent loss. His husband, Masahiro, died unexpectedly a few years ago, and he is heartbroken. Masahiro was an amazing gardener and kept a beautiful rooftop garden, but since his death, Uncle Archie keeps the door to the roof locked, and no one is permitted to go there, or the top floor. But Mary hears sounds coming from the floor above her bedroom. Mary decides to find out about this secret rooftop garden, and when she finally gains access, finds it in ruins. Mary decides to secretly bring the rooftop garden back to life, and enlists the help of her new friend Dickon and Ben, the bodega owner. This new purpose and connection with others helps Mary heal from her loss. Mary also eventually uncovers the mystery behind the noises she hears at night. The book is touted as a reimagined and updated version of the children's classic, The Secret Garden, but you do not need to have read or even know about that book to fully appreciate this amazing graphic novel. In addition to a great story, you also get a mini tour of some of New York City's offerings, like the Museum of Natural History and the Metropolitan Museum of Art.
Stowaway by John David Anderson. This new middle grade science fiction, the first in a duology, is set some 30 years in the future. The people of Earth learn they are not alone in the universe. The planet is visited by by an advanced race called the Icarians, who, in exchange for their knowledge, begin drilling for a rare element, Ventasium, to aid in space travel, like dilithium in Star Trek. Unfortunately, the Icarians are at war with the Dejaric, and Earth suffers the consequences in the form of a devastating attack. Leo Fender, after losing his mother in one attack, now lives on the spaceship Beagle with his older brother Gareth and his scientist father Calvin. Dr. Fender is a specialist in developing Ventasium. The Beagle is attacked by the Dejaric. Dr. Fender is taken prisoner, and the rest of the ship is left to drift. Shortly after the attack, the ship is boarded by space pirates looking for Ventasium. Since they have none, the pirates leave, but not without Gareth sneaking Leo aboard to keep him safe. Leo is soon discovered by the crew, and Leo convinces them to help him find his father. But pirates, being pirates, tend to only look out for themselves, and Leo must figure out who he can trust, if anyone.
It is 1940 and World War II is raging in Europe. Parents will do anything to keep their children safe. Some even chose to send their children on a ship to Canada to keep them safe and away from the bombs. Leaving home without their parents for some kids is very scary. For others, it's a great adventure. Some kids have sisters and brothers with them, but most are alone. Now they are on the ship, and the food is amazing. They haven't eaten good food since the war began. Matter of fact, some kids didn't eat well even before the war. The ship was also like a giant playground for children. There were toys and activities for all ages. It was so incredible. Once they set sail, they thought they were safe. Until one night, just a few days after the ship left England, the children, their caregivers, and the crew were awakened when a torpedo hit the side. Even though everyone had been trained on how to escape the ship by lifeboat, it was chaos. This story is told by two authors. Lifeboat is a fictional story by Susan Hood, but the story is based on the true story of the ship, the City of Bernars, a ship that was to set sail and take children safely to Canada away from the war. In this story, Ken and other children are on the ship and they are thinking they are heading for safety. But when the torpedo hit and they had to get to their lifeboats, chaos broke out and a lot of people ended up on the wrong lifeboats. But the most important thing was everybody get off that ship before it sank. Once on the lifeboats, they thought they would be rescued, but rescue didn't come as quickly as they expected. In the meantime, the water was freezing, the rain was pounding, the wind was raging, and waves were crashing. Will Ken and the other people on Lifeboat 12 survive? Read this exciting story based on a true story by Susan Hood and see what happens to all those who ended up on Lifeboat 12. If you would prefer a nonfiction account of this story, of the SS City of Bernars and the children who were being taken to Canada to safety away from the war in England, you would probably want to read Torpedoed, the true story of World War II, a sinking of the children's ship by Deborah Heilgman. In this story, or I should say in this nonfiction account of what happened, you will meet all the children who were on that ship.
or several of the children who were on that ship and how they survived. Read either Lifeboat 12 by Susan Hood or Torpedoed by Deborah Heilgman and find out what happened to the ship, to the children, to the caregivers and crew, and how those who did survive, how did it happen, and how were they rescued?